Well, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we did have the first college football Saturday of the season, an extravaganza with several top 10 teams losing. I'm going to be going through all of the ranked matchups, giving my review, and then taking a look at the ESPN analytical FPI, as there are many, many moves. Normally, there are the volatility early in the season with the limited resumes for all of these teams. So, the 1v3 matchup, Ohio State beats Texas 14-7. Main takeaway, I think both of these teams will be fine. I believe Arch Manning will be fine. Diagnosing Texas's problem probably comes down to Arch Manning's accuracy concerns. Texas has two really good running backs. They've got good skill position players, good receivers. Ryan Wingo, really quick. He's going to be a stud. And really good defense. Impressed. Texas got really good pressure. They got interior pressure, revamped their entire defensive line through the portal. Texas, they're going to be all right. They played very timid. So did Ohio State, by the way, with Julian Sayin, and a lot of people singing his praises. Even with the limited passing yards, he only threw for like 120, 130 yards. It was a very weird game. Ohio State had very bad field position, especially in the second half, and it seemed like Texas finally took the proverbial training wheels off of Arch Manning, allowed him to sling it, but it's a week one game. I love that they're doing this. It's better than Ohio State facing some FCS school. Same thing with Texas, where they're 40-point favorites, but both of these offenses were not fine-tuned. Defenses, both are amazing. Ohio State, another year where they're going to have a ridiculously good defense. Matt Patricia, a lot of people singing his praises, his Ohio State debut. Very talented. The only weak spot for Ohio State, maybe not a premier pass rusher, but other than that, if you're the Buckeyes, low scoring game, maybe some offensive concern in terms of replacing the two running backs. Not a great running game, but it is a very tough Texas defensive line. And it seemed like once it got late third, early fourth, the touchdown to Carnell Tate, this was the Buckeyes game, and they just kind of turtled up towards the end. They were able to hang on. Texas did outgain Ohio State by 100 yards, but I think that's more of a byproduct of Texas playing catch-up and Ohio State really having at least 3 or 4 drives start inside their own 10-yard line where they kind of turtled up with a young quarterback making his first start against a tough defense. That's a challenging thing. I think we don't need to be crazy with our overreactions when it comes to Texas and Arch Manning is overrated. This is a very challenging environment to start your season opener. Really, Arch Manning's first major start, his first road start in Columbus against a defense like this. It is very, very tough. So I think Texas will be fine. They've got like 4 or 5 straight very easy games. Ohio State, they could lose 2 games, still make the playoff. They've got this huge week 1 win. Texas is going to fall back a little bit, but we need to dampen the overreactions when it comes to Arch Manning being bad, although there were definitely some inaccuracy problems, especially on intermediate crossing routes. I think Texas is going to be fine. Ohio State, they're going to be fine as well. I would say for Texas, maybe some inaccuracies with Arch could be a concern, but that's a complete team. And with Ohio State, maybe a lack of a premier pass rush, but they've got a loaded defense. Their linebackers look better than last year. Their secondary looks better than last year. And so we will see with them. Next, we've got Penn State and Nevada. So Penn State wins this game. They don't cover the spread. Nevada with a late touchdown, a 2-point conversion. They sneak the cover. They were like plus 44 or something, but Penn State wins this game very easily. Drew Aller completed, what was it? He only had like 4 incompletions, 22 of 26. Penn State has a horrible non-conference schedule. They're going to win the next 2 games very easily. They're going to be 3-0 with a late September whiteout against Oregon at home. Early line says they're 6.5-point favorites. Penn State will be ranked second in the upcoming AP poll. Ohio State will be first. Texas will very likely fall behind. Unless they don't want to punish Texas for losing to the number 3 team on the road by 7 points. Maybe Penn State might get knocked down to number 3, but I don't think so. Very easy win for Penn State. Nevada is they're, at least for the past 5 to 10 years, they've been one of the worst FBS teams. You've got LSU over Clemson. What a letdown. Clemson doesn't have a run game. The Clemson's top running back is a converted receiver. Cade Klubnik, very bad. LSU completely controlled the time of possession, 38 minutes to 22 minutes. Very impressive win for LSU. I had Clemson winning this game. I thought they would cover. This was going to be their coming out party, kind of announcing themselves back. And what a devastating loss for the ACC. Truly. I mean, imagine if LSU would have lost this game after what happened with Bama and Texas. But Brian Kelly needed this. They had the streak of losing their opening game, and LSU, this is a massive boost because now you look at that Clemson team. They're still a talented team. Yeah, they've got a huge question mark looking at this at the running back position, but Clemson's still very talented. They're still in a weak conference. So LSU having that road win in your back pocket week 1, Clemson's still going to have a good season. That's a very quality win for LSU. LSU potentially could lose 3 games, go 9-3 with this non-conference win, depending on how Clemson ends up, and still make the playoffs. So big win for LSU, lower scoring game, kind of similar to the Ohio State Texas game. We've got the defenses ahead of the offenses, although this one we thought there was going to be more offense because these are not inexperienced quarterbacks. These are 2 quarterbacks that have started years in the past, and unlike Arch Manning and Julian Sayin, but still defense wins the day, and very hard-nosed win for LSU. That line ended up getting bet up, I think, to 5, because I saw it at 4, then it was at 4.5, then it was, maybe 5, 5.5. I was in on Clemson. I thought Clemson was a better team, especially with Brian Kelly early season struggles, but it didn't work out. It is what it is. LSU gets the win. The under hits there. You've got Georgia over Marshall, so Georgia does not cover. That's a late touchdown for Marshall. These are typical. Georgia always does this when they're at home against these bad teams. They were like 39.5-point favorites. They really, it's not that they stopped trying, but they kind of just run the ball the entire second half. And I guess that's what most teams do, but it seems like Georgia does it more than most. That's why you would go with Marshall plus 39.5, and they're able to get a backdoor cover there. Very easy win for Georgia. There's not much you can say. Marshall this year is a bad team. You could say normally Marshall is kind of a mediocre, just group of 5 team. This year, I think they're going to be one of the worst, or maybe not one of the worst, but like bottom 3rd quadrant. So not surprised. Georgia, very easy win. They win by 38. The spread closed 39.5. You've got Oregon with Dante Moore winning 59-13 over Montana State. Montana State is a good FCS team. So Oregon, I think they were maybe 30-point favorites. They win this game. They cover by about 20 points. So very good win for Oregon to start their season. Remember last year, week 1, the random struggles with Idaho. Doesn't happen this year against a solid FCS program in Montana State, although they are FCS. We're not going to praise Oregon too much. I think Oregon's got a very good setup to where this next week they've got an interesting home non-conference game against Oklahoma State. Should be a pretty easy win for them, but it's going to be a nice learning experience for the young Dante Moore as a young, talented quarterback, to where you're facing a defense that's not all that great, but it still is a Power 5 team. You do have Florida State beating Alabama. And Alabama, it's a disaster right now. I mean, you have last year, DeBoer, his first season, the late loss to Oklahoma, 3 points on offense. Okay. This year they come into it. I said I wasn't that impressed with Ty Simpson. There's just something missing. I thought Alabama was going to win this game and cover because I just couldn't trust Florida State. And it wasn't like, if you look at the stats, I mean, Florida State ran the ball 50 times. They've got the transfer QB, Castellanos from Boston College. With Bama, there's just something missing. You've got the superstar receiver. The running game is like this mishmash. There's no star running back. I mean, they've got really, 4 or 5 star players, highly ranked running backs, but it's just, there's something missing with Alabama post Saban. And you have to wonder with Kellen DeBoer, what if they lose 3 games and miss the playoff? What happens to them? People are blaming the NIL situation. This is a top 2, top 3 most talented roster in college football. They are still recruiting with DeBoer almost to the same level as Saban. Now, there is some attrition just when it comes to these top teams recruiting because they were able to hoard all the roster talent. Now you've got some lower end teams offering a bunch of NIL money, so they're going to lose out on some players. But this is still a top 2, top 3 most talented roster in college football Alabama has. That's why the FPI said they were a top 2, top 3 team overall. There's just something missing, and I think it does come down to coaching because the roster talent is there when it comes to Alabama, and you talk about them getting pushed around on the defensive line. They were missing their best run stopper, I understand, but that's a huge win for Florida State, and Florida State quietly will very likely be 4-0 going into a home game against Miami. They're going to be ranked for sure. They've got 2 easy games, and then they face Virginia on the road, and then week 5, they've got either week 5 or week 6, I don't know when their bye is. They've got Miami, and they're going to be ranked. So, look, Florida State all of a sudden, after a 10-loss season last year, they're right back in the mix. And we'll see. If you're Florida State now, 100% you're rooting for Alabama to win as many games as possible because that's a huge win. If Bama falls off and loses 4 games, it's not going to be seen as as big of a win as it is now, but we will see. Arizona State beats Northern Arizona. This game was pretty late. I don't think Arizona State covered the spread in this game. I believe they were over 20-point favorites against Northern Arizona. And so they're number 11. We'll see. You kind of sleepwalk to a victory there. Michigan beats New Mexico 34-17. I did watch parts of this game pretty extensively. I think Michigan easily could have won this game by like 45 points. Now, New Mexico is a very, very bad FBS team. There's definitely FCS teams that are likely better than New Mexico, but I thought Bryce Underwood for a first start, even though it's against a bad defense and it's at home, Bryce Underwood's going to be a player. He's going to be very good. Justice Haynes making his first start for Michigan. That's a good tandem for Michigan. Young, good tandem. And so if I'm a Michigan fan, you can say, well, they only won by 17 points. They were almost 40-point favorites. But to me, New Mexico got gift wrapped 7 points. And to me, the score is not an indicator. This game was a mismatch with Michigan, and we'll see with Michigan. They've got Oklahoma next week. It's going to be very hard to pick Michigan because you've got a true freshman quarterback going into a hostile environment against a very good defensive coach. But this game was a blowout. The score, there was a huge talent gap between Michigan and New Mexico. It very easily could have been 48 to 14 or 48-7. You've got Florida beating Long Island 55-0. I had Florida winning 59-0. But I was surprised they released the line for this game the morning of because, Long Island, I don't remember the last time Long Island faced a relevant FBS team. It was only like, was it 38 or 48? I was surprised at how low the spread was. But yeah, if you got that game day line, Florida easily wins. DJ Lagway, just a joke of a game. It is what it is. Early in the season, you're going to get these situations. SMU beats East Texas A&M. Like a made-up school, 42-13. They did not cover. They were around 50-point favorites in the game day line. And so it is what it is. They returned their quarterback, Jennings, and I think we'll see with SMU. They've got an interesting week 2 game against Baylor that could really make or break their season. What's going on with Kansas State? Kansas State's going to be unranked, that's for sure. They almost lose to an FCS team. They come back to win late. North Dakota, they almost had more first downs than Kansas State. They were moving the ball at will. Just very concerning for Kansas State. You can turn it around. You're 1-1, but you do have that loss to Iowa State. That's a tough loss, and now you almost lose to North Dakota. Losing to an FCS team or almost losing to an FCS team is brutal. You do have Oklahoma beating Illinois State. A little bit of a letdown here. I thought Oklahoma would cover that 35.5-point spread. 0 points in the third quarter. Really kind of a slow start, but, they win by 32. They've got the huge week 2 matchup against Michigan at home, and that's going to be that's a massive game for Brett Venables. It's a big game for the SEC and also for the Big Ten. Oklahoma against Michigan, so we'll have to see there. You've got Texas A&M beating UTSA 42-24. I do not think they covered. Nah, they won by 18 points. They were 23.5-point favorites over UTSA. So UTSA scoring in every quarter. I don't know. UTSA is not a terrible team, and it's kind of an in-state game, and it's fine for Texas A&M. We'll see. It doesn't really show one way or another how good they are. You've got Indiana beating Old Dominion. Old Dominion with the cover here. Not a fan of Indiana this year. Indiana and Illinois, I think, are both overrated teams in the Big Ten. And I think you're going to see Indiana. They've got a terrible non-conference, so they're going to win these games. But Old Dominion, kind of a little under-the-radar team. 22.5 was far too much, and Old Dominion is able to cover that. You've got Ole Miss beating Georgia State, blowing them out 63-7. They easily cover the 36 point spread. That's Lane Kiffin against a bad group of 5 team. That's kind of the result. 60 burger with a new quarterback. Doesn't matter. We'll have to see how good Ole Miss is, but when it comes to these games where they're massive favorites, normally they always cover. How about Iowa State destroying South Dakota? Iowa State was 13.5-point favorites in this game. You might say, well, this is going to be an easy win for Iowa State. They win the game by 48 points. You're 13.5-point favorites. That's impressive. It really is. You're coming back from Dublin, Ireland. This is a good situation for Iowa State. So they're going to be a top 20 team for sure, even though their win against Kansas State is kind of, there's kind of cold water on it now because Kansas State almost lost to North Dakota. So we have to factor that in. You've got Texas Tech beating Arkansas Pine Bluff 67-7. Arkansas Pine Bluff is a terrible football team. And it's just, they were also, I believe, playing 8-minute quarters in the second half, so third and fourth quarter, because of some type of lightning delay. And they still scored 67 points. They probably would have dropped over 80 if they played a full 15 minutes, 4 quarters. And then you do have Tennessee beating Syracuse 45-26. Tennessee, with Joey Aguirre making his debut for the Vols, they easily cover that 13.5-point spread over Syracuse. That was a noon Eastern game there. And then we are going to go ahead and take a look at the FPI. Yes, Texas is still first. People are going to be angry about that. 0-1. Listen, Texas, it's a predictive model, and Texas losing on the road to the number 3 team by 7 points while outgaining them by 100 yards. Texas is still really good. They're still really good. What do you want me to say? I mean, if Texas would have faced a really bad group of 5 team and won 49-0, would we say, oh, they're the number 1 team? I mean, it's a week 1 tough road game against a really good defense, very talented team. So you could say, well, Texas, I mean, they don't deserve to be first in terms of the AP poll when we're ranking right now, but I still think Texas top 5 team very easily. And the predictive models still like Texas, although this is it's a mosh pit, 23.2, 22.9, 23. These teams are all within 2 or 3 points. You've got Georgia still sitting at number 2. You have Ohio State moving up a spot to number 3. You have Ole Miss moving up 6 spots. So that's a situation where Georgia State has some value because they beat Georgia State 63-7. I mean, that's an annihilation, and it shows game control and overall dominance. That's what the analytics like. And like the difference in terms of total yardage. So that's one of those to where it's like, I really think they need to recalibrate in terms of how they weight beating these mid-made, like FBS group of 5 teams, just because should they really move up 6 spots? I mean, Georgia State is not terrible, and you did cover the spread easily, and you scored 60. You shouldn't be moving up 6 spots for that. But it's early in the season. It's week 1. There's very limited sample, so that's just kind of what happens. You have Penn State at number 5, so they don't move. You have USC at number 6. No, so here's the thing with USC. They're a very talented team. They did beat an FBS team because Missouri State is now an FBS team. And I believe they did drop 73 points. They won like 73-13. So I think USC 100% should be a top 25 team. A lot of USC fans were shocked when they were not ranked inside the preseason top 25. They've got the talent for it. It's going to be good for the Big Ten. USC is a good team. They should be ranked inside the top 25. They've got big games this season. They've got a huge home game against Michigan. And yeah, USC is a top 25 team. I mean, you could say, well, why are they ranked 6th here? Mainly because of recruiting and, stuff like that. They've got a talented roster. I mean, I'll agree. They're not the number 6 best team. I would rank them like 20th, honestly, USC. You have Oregon at number 7 still. You have Notre Dame. They haven't played yet. They're down 2 spots. You have Tennessee down 1 spot after their win. LSU moves up to number 10. Some people may say, well, they need to move up a lot more than that. I mean, they won by 7 points. The other thing is Clemson is not valued highly in this predictive model. So that's why LSU only moved up 2 spots. You have South Carolina. They haven't played yet. You have Florida up 1 spot. Bama down 10 spots to number 13. I mean, they were ranked number 3 in terms of this predictive model. Now they're down significantly. Yeah, where's Bama going to fall? Maybe to 24th or 23rd? Because they're 8th right now in the AP poll. I'm wondering how low they're going to go. They might fall outside of it. When's the last time they've been unranked? So we'll have to see. A&M down 5 spots. A little bit surprised about that. But, UTSA kind of hung in there for a little bit. You've got Miami. They haven't played yet. You have Auburn up 5 spots. They did beat Baylor on the road. Baylor's a good team. Baylor is a good team. That was a good 14-point road win. That was a Friday night game. You have BYU up 5 spots. BYU beat Portland State like 63-0 or something. Missouri, they're at number 18 in this. You've got Utah moving up 26 spots. So Utah dispatches of UCLA. That was an 11 o'clock Eastern game. And they're up 26 spots. You've got Michigan down 5 spots. You've got Clemson down 5 spots. You've got Oklahoma down 2 spots. Look at that Michigan-Oklahoma game. That's going to be a good game. Very similar teams. You've got Iowa State up 10 spots after their dispatching of South Dakota. You have SMU sitting down 5 spots. You have Kansas, a fringe top 25 team. Now they're 2-0. They played in week 0. You have Arizona State down 2 spots. People are angry about that. Arizona State, in terms of the AP poll, a lot higher. Arkansas sitting at, I don't even know who Arkansas faced, honestly. Let me just look at this. Alabama A&M. I did not see a single shred of evidence that game existed until I just looked at that right there. Normally I'm able to remember some of these games just from looking at, but I didn't remember that game. I didn't know. Kansas State sitting down 10. Yeah, Kansas State. I'm surprised they're at 28 at this point. Normally you'd think they'd be penalized. That's an FCS team. but some FCS teams are better than others. So you have Indiana down 4 spots at 29. You have Georgia Tech up 9 spots. You have Nebraska at number 31. Nebraska, not a great performance. I mean, Cincinnati win by 3 points, low scoring game. Washington, I think Washington's a sneaky team. Disappointing week 1 performance against Colorado State, where they didn't cover the spread, though. You've got Tulane up 11 spots. Tulane beat Northwestern. Northwestern is a mess right now. Florida State up 25 spots. They're at number 40 now. People think Illinois ranked, or at least rated too low. It's not even a ranking. It's a rating. So that's another thing. Illinois down at 38. They're 1-0. They won, I think, on Friday night. Baylor down 14 spots. You do have Boston College up 10 spots. Who did Boston College beat? FCS 60 burger for Boston College. You can respect running up the score. You respect it from BC. You've got Duke up 1 spot. Duke faces Illinois, and they're only 2-point underdogs. How about that? That game's at Duke next week, I believe. You have Virginia up 18 spots. They beat Coastal Carolina. You have Arizona up 15 spots. You have UCF down 13 spots, even though they won. You have South Florida. How about this? South Florida against Florida. If you're Florida, why are you scheduling that game? It's just like, it's not worth it, man. I mean, South Florida beats Boise State. Now, you're going on the road. You could ruin Florida's season. Is it really worth it if you're Florida? I mean, Florida's going to be the favorites. They're at home, but it's the in-state matchup. It's the dynamics. You still have a young quarterback. I mean, I think Florida will be fine, but it's kind of a fun game. You have Boise State down 31 spots. There they go. There goes their season. Texas State up 19 spots. Ohio up 12 spots. Appalachian State up 21 spots. Purdue up 17 spots. UCLA down at 29 spots. Temple up significantly. All right, these teams at the bottom, it doesn't really matter. Man, Florida Atlantic is terrible this year. They're outside the top 100. Georgia State down 29 spots. Not surprising. Yeah. So that's basically it, guys. Week 1, a very good win for Ohio State. I don't know if they have efficiencies yet. Yeah, Oregon was the most efficient team in week 1 relative to who they faced. UCLA or USC. How many points did USC end up scoring? It was 73-13. I was wondering what it was going to close because I thought maybe they'd get to 80, but BYU, yeah, because BYU won like 69-0. 69-0. How bad did Louisville? Wow, I'm surprised. They won 51-17 against Eastern Kentucky, and they're rated that high in terms of their efficiency. That surprises me. But it might have been a thing to where they were blowing them out in the first and second quarter and then just ran out the clock. They probably outgained them by a ton. Yeah, maybe it was something like that. But either way, guys, that's just week 1. I mean, there are still games today. There's still a few games today. You've got Notre Dame, Miami, and you've got a game tomorrow as well. But, I mean, Ohio State, very good win. Florida State, big winners. Alabama, big loser. I think Texas will be fine. Clemson, that's a brutal loss for Clemson. There's no way around it. You're trying to announce yourself back. You've got this great defense. It's a home game. You've got an experienced quarterback week 1. LSU has struggled under Brian Kelly in early season games in the past, and you score 10 points. And you don't have a running game. You don't have a running game at all, so it's disappointing. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you like the video down below. Thank you for watching.